It's time for the Fantasy Football Guys. Dropping loads of fantasy football knowledge all up in your eardrums. Here they are, Lyle Conkeel and Kevin Moore, the Fantasy Football Guys.
Yes, indeedy do. It's crunch time, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, yes, we're the Fantasy Football Guys. Kevin?
Lyle, did you just say it was crunch time?
I did.
Is it crunch time?
It's crunch time.
Wow.
It's week 11, dude.
Dude, I'm 9-1 in the TFFG Money League.
Wow, I am not.
Yeah.
I am so not 9-1. Yeah, so yeah, it is definitely crunch time. Playoffs start week 14, right? 14, 15, 16?
I'm tied for first. The guy actually beat me, though. It's Furry Cottery. It's Throttle82 from our forums.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm kind of psyched about that. It's been a while since I had a dominant team.
Since you've been good at fantasy
No.
football.
I've made playoffs and stuff, but I haven't had a team that was just running. I lost week 1, and I haven't lost since then.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got some new Buzz's barbecue stuff.
do.
So we got dark cherry here.
Got
which
that
is,
apple cinnamon.
I'm excited about dark cherry.
Yeah.
We have apple cinnamon pure awesome sauce,
Yeah.
which I'm looking forward to trying Thanksgiving weekend. If you want to get in on the action and try this amazing barbecue, here's pineapple 2.1.
Right.
Dude. Anyway, buzzesbbq.com. Go check him out and get his stuff.
Get your buzz on.
Get his sauce all up in your face.
He's even got a little ratings thing on the side of this spicy
I'll
buffalo.
tell you how hot it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you how hot it is.
Nice.
I don't think these ones are very hot.
No, I'm guessing apple cinnamon's not hot, but wouldn't it be great if it was just had a little,
Little bit of tang,
a little heat?
I bet it does.
Probably does.
It's
barbecue
like
sauce after
That's
all.
sweet heat.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Very excited.
Coming up in moments, we have Liz Loza from Yahoo Fantasy Sports joining us
Very excited about
to
that.
talk about deep sleepers, and she's right a lot, dude.
She is.
And you know
She's
what?
better than we are.
Well, it's not hard to do.
It's not.
So you got basically 11, 12, and 13. You got 3 more weeks to make your move.
Yeah.
So it probably was crunch time last week.
It probably was crunch time like a few weeks ago.
Well, with all the injuries and stuff, it's been crunch time since week 3, for God's sake. All right, let's look at the injury report. Victor Cruz limited on Wednesday. He may be back for a Sunday's game against Chicago. We'll see what happens. But the bad thing is, if you have Sterling Shepard, you don't want him to come back.
Yeah.
Because
he was effective early in the season, first couple games.
Yeah, but
it
then
really hasn't been since.
Deshaun Jackson back at practice on Wednesday. His shoulder was keeping him out. It's too early to tell whether he's going to be available for Sunday's game against Green Bay. However, being in practice on Wednesday is a pretty good sign. Jeremy Maclin remained on the sideline today with his groin. He missed all last week's practice and the game. So
with Tyreek Hill there, I don't know that they want him back, honestly.
It's not like Jeremy's been lighting it up. Deion Lewis is going to have a limited role in Week 11, says Bill Belichick. And, Bill never lies.
Never.
If Bill says it, damn it, it's happening.
Yeah.
So if you're a Deion Lewis owner, it's probably going to be the playoffs before he's going to be back for you. Jordan Howard practiced today. He had a foot this last Sunday. Went out for a little while. Right? Came back in. It says foot on the injury report. So I was hoping that Jeremy Langford would have a little more action this week, but Jordan Howard is obviously the guy if he's in there. Rob Gronkowski got wrecked. Dude,
he did.
And punctured a lung.
What's funny, dude, that happens way too often. It's horrifying.
Yeah, you got pads on, right?
Yeah. And you have your ribs.
And then you have your ribs over top of the lungs. But then dudes get lungs punctured.
Yeah,
maybe it was a rib that punctured.
Your ribs are designed to move this way, but not this way.
Yeah.
So that's where it snaps. Like they move in, like side to side. Anyway, he was voted by players in the NFL as the most dominant offensive player, like unstoppable, uncoverable, and I forget what
It's pretty true. And the thing about Gronk is he never just has like a turf toe. Dude either has like a fractured arm, he broke his arm.
I know. His whole arm's in a thing.
But the thing is, he's only going to be out for probably a week.
Yeah, he'll be
Tom
back.
Brady has a quad.
I'm sure allegedly. He'll be fine.
I'm sure he's probably going to play against the 49ers.
Yeah.
Let's see, Matt Asiata. Let's see. Nope. Oh, Thomas Rawls plans to play in Week 11.
Hey, now.
And now be since. Well, I did watch Fat Albert when I was a kid. Anyway. Who was the dude that had the hat over his eyes and actually looked?
It was Mumblemouth, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
What is his name, Mumblemouth?
Yeah, he had all kinds of things going on. Anyway, the Seahawks, of course, jettisoned Kristen Michael.
It was Mumblemouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
They jettisoned Christian Michael, who the Packers picked up.
Yep.
I'm surprised. I think the only 2 running backs the Packers haven't picked up this year are Carlos Williams and C.J. Spiller.
Yeah.
At this point. But Thomas Rawls plans to play this week. Allegedly, he could have gone last week, but they had Christian Michael, and Procyse did such a great job.
He was amazing. Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. Sammy Watkins not ready for practice. He can come back November 27th if he is healthy enough.
Right.
To do that. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, though.
I dropped him in a bunch of leagues because I had to.
Yeah, it was funny because like 2 weeks ago, somebody on NFL radio on Sirius said, Sammy Watkins could be back to practice on Wednesday. And I was like, and I went and immediately picked him up. And then the guy mistakenly said Sammy Watkins. He meant LaShawn McCoy.
Right.
So I had Sammy Watkins on a roster. And I was like, I was kind of embarrassed.
That's why you got to effort, man.
Well, I wanted to get there before everybody else did.
Don't believe the media, dude.
Well, you know what happens? You look at our main money league, right? Anytime I hear a little tweak about somebody, I go to our league, and Drew has picked him up.
It was Mushmouth, not Mumblemouth. Thank you, Joseph, in our chat room. From Fat Albert.
Right.
Yeah.
See what I'm drinking? You need to be talking. Because I can't talk and drink.
No, I love awkward
at the same time.
Silences. They're funny.
See, in a perfect world, Liz would be on the phone right now. Let's check to see if she is there.
She's not.
How would you know? Because you don't have the...
I'm psychic.
You're something.
Mm. She's not there, is she?
She's not.
Right.
Well, you had a 50-50 chance, dude. All right, so let's look at some breaking news.
Worse than 50-50 because she is going to call.
That's true.
Early. So
Robert Griffin may be able to return to practice on Wednesday.
That's really exciting. Is this where we are?
Jared Goff is going to make his first career start this week. So basically,
that is kind of exciting.
If you have yourself an LA Ram player, like say a receiver,
go ahead and pine him.
Go ahead and throw him on the pine.
Go ahead and pine.
Not really looking for Goff. That pretty much tells you that the Rams know their season is kind of over, right? By the way, you were pretty big on Case Keenum last week. How did he do?
Terrible.
He had 160 yards and
wasn't good.
Interception? Something?
Wasn't good, yeah.
Sammy Bradford, on the other hand, had 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 307 yards.
I read this whole... You should have bet me. You would have got some of that money back.
I'm a little skittish.
I'm walking around 20 heavy.
Yeah, I'm a little skittish about
I read this whole article about how the Sam Bradford trade to Minnesota is going to affect Tony Romo's trade next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're totally giving him the foot.
Oh, yeah.
And they should, if Dak's going to be the guy. And Tony has even said that now. So, but I just thought it was funny that, this preseason Sam Bradford trade, week before the preseason, is now going to affect what the Cowboys get in return for a guy like Tony Romo.
Yeah, because they should be getting a number 1 pick for him, apparently. Or at least a number 2.
Apparently.
Well, he's considerably older than Bradford is, though.
He is, but he's considerably more accomplished, too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Than Bradford? Yeah.
Yeah, but marginally so. Tony's been to what? A playoff? He went to playoffs 1 year.
Okay. How many has Bradford got?
Okay, well, not significantly.
Right.
Not significantly more. Mo better.
Let's look at wins, losses. Let's look at completion percentage. Let's look at he's considerably more.
Yeah, but you know what?
Now, I mean, listen.
But today, if you said, Kev, would you rather have Sam Bradford or Tony Romo? It wouldn't be Tony Romo.
Totally agree. But some team out there is going to go, man, if we had a quarterback that was of Romo's caliber.
You mean a team that rhymes with the Flust and Flexens?
Maybe, yeah.
Or the Flan Frisco.
Well, I don't think he'll go to the 49ers, but somebody like Houston who's got good receivers.
But then they just pay a guy an S ton of money to come. How's that working out?
He sucks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's terrible, apparently. And apparently he made the right move by getting a whole bunch of money. Are you going to text her? We might as well just get started, dude. We can't keep dragging this out.
Well, she said 2 minutes ago, 2 minutes.
Well, yet here she is not here.
We can chat for another minute, can't we?
I'm sure we can. Alshon Jeffrey suspended for 4 games.
Oh, yeah, we saw that. It was a couple days ago.
It was, but the PED policy, he went and violated that.
Okay. Here she is.
There we go. Thank God. We're going to drag this out forever.
Liz Loza, how are you doing?
Oh, hi, guys.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hi. What's going on? How are you?
We're doing great. What's your take on the whole Alshon situation?
The whole Alshon situation. I think that I'm kind of happy that the Bears didn't sign him to a long-term deal and that he's playing under the franchise tag this year.
I'm kind of happy that the Eagles didn't trade for him.
Me too.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm not.
And this is going to sound pretty crappy of me, but, like, he should be healthier if he's taking PEDs.
That's a good point.
Yeah, if
You
you're
know what I
taking,
mean? Like,
That's an excellent point.
you should be slipping some
Right,
to Jay, you know?
Yeah. What's going on?
whoever is hooking you up, you need a new supplier because that stuff's clearly not top shelf.
Yeah, he's giving you placebos, all
Funny
Sean.
enough, in typical spam way, we got an email, Kevin, at the Fantasy Football Guys. This company that's selling, quote unquote, in bold, HGHN steroids. I'd never seen anything like. It's a Chinese company. Yeah, sent us an email.
Nice.
I thought that was hilarious.
So how many did you buy?
I mean, I looked it up. It was kind of expensive, and they wanted to ship it to your door from China.
Right.
That might be illegal.
Nice. All right.
Maybe.
So, Liz,
Maybe.
how you feeling? You're getting close, right?
Yeah.
to Mirth
that
and
was
Merriment?
the last week. I told you Wednesdays are like my day off in theory, and so it's usually the day that I have all of my appointments. And 2 weeks in a row, I hope this is. I can't believe this is what I'm going to talk about. But my OB, I've been on my way to my OB's appointment in the morning, and her patients have gone into labor, so she had to push my appointment into the afternoon, which is why I haven't been able to, because then you're sitting in the conference room and
Right.
she can see you at any moment. So for 2 weeks in a row, and obviously that's an occupational hazard for her. And if you're a patient, you understand because it could be you. So when they call you and they're like, yeah, no 10 a.m., she's at the hospital, you know what that means. And it could very well be you in a
that's
couple
true.
of weeks.
Yeah.
So you just go in the afternoon then. And so it's just then the timing of it. But yes, I'm 4 weeks out from my due date.
Wow.
Well, I know that last week was a doctor's appointment, but 2 weeks ago it was the World Series they kept you from us.
Yeah, had to be.
Oh, that's true.
And
my
you know what?
doctor's appointment was on Friday 2 weeks ago.
I
I
don't-
scheduled that appropriately.
We don't blame
He did
you at
have
all.
patients that went into labor 2 weeks in a row.
Game 7 of the Chicago Cubs World Series on the day that you can either do that or do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're doing, and I don't blame you.
Yeah, it was. I knew though that all of the good karma, all of the good underdog karma that that Chicago had built up 2 weeks ago would dissipate. Whether it be from the election or Alshon Jeffrey or Jay Cutler and his magical regression after being bewitched on Halloween. So it didn't last long.
Yeah.
It's good to see. It gives me hope as an Eagles fan that someday maybe it will happen. You know?
You guys, I think you have quite a weapon in Bryce Treggs. He was on my deep sleepers list last week. Now, it didn't hit, but I feel like if you haven't already talked about him, we should maybe touch on him because last week I thought, okay, they've got Atlanta. That's a really thin secondary. They're giving up, at least at the time, the fourth most receiving yards on the season. But Peterson, to his credit, was like, forget this. Rather than attack that obvious deficiency in the defense, we're going to play keep away and keep it out of Matt Ryan's hands. And that's why Ryan Matthews blew up and Bryce Treggs wasn't able to, I don't even think he saw a single target. But I think he's your deep threat, especially with your boy, the Oregon kid.
Huff.
Josh
Huff, yeah.
Yeah, with him, with him being off the squad, Treggs has a decent athletic profile, and I think he could do something deep.
Yeah, it's sad to me when the best receivers, potentially wise, are on the practice squad. They got a guy by the name of Paul Turner too,
Who caught everything.
who's pretty good. He's just got awesome hands. And but to their credit, they did a decent job this week at catching the football.
They did well.
I was there.
Matthews dropped one that
He
would have
did.
been probably a touchdown. It's certainly a first down.
He did, but
And Aguilar dropped one.
he did.
Yeah.
And believe me, the stadium erupted. It was just all booze. You know,
you gotta love that when
I
you're
had
on the
I had
field.
my 6-year-old with me, and she was like, "Why are they booing them?"
Let me explain to you about what wide receivers are paid to do.
It reminded me of when I was a little kid and I went to my first baseball game with my dad, and everybody was booing Michael Schmidt. And I was like, dude, that's Michael Jack Schmidt. He's the greatest ever. Because he was at the end of his career. They were like, you suck. And I was like almost in tears. And they were like, listen. And my dad was like, listen, this is Philly.
They booed Steve Carlton.
They were like, look, yes, he'll be a Hall of Famer. Everybody will love him when he retires. But right now he's not playing well, so everybody hates him.
Right.
This is your duty.
Right. But when a guy like Scott, when a guy like, a guy who leaves and then comes back, like, Jason Worth, you really let those dudes hear.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway,
we're
digressing
digress.
as we tend to do. So, Liz, who do you like this week?
Well, I think so. We're getting to the part of the season where most of these guys are just start throws, and it's been a really crappy waiver wire, I think, over the last 2 weeks, frankly. So
I agree.
I've been struggling to find deep guys, and now I think it's the sort of cheap guys, or whether they're cheap in DFS or like a low percentage started guys. But I do think that to that end, everybody is like, oh, Colin Kaepernick is really cheap. He's put up 20-plus fantasy points in his back-to-back weeks. Obviously, a nice matchup against the Patriots, whose front seven is frankly not that good. You imagine that there'd be a bit of a shootout in this competition. He's been putting up the rushing yards to boost his fantasy stats. So there's that, and I agree with that. But let's go a little bit deeper, since I think that everybody's, especially in DFS, on that. He's not going to give you much of a return if he's the chalk underdog pick, right?
Right.
I think that, and then beyond that, you're like, all right, well, Jeremy Curley caught 7 of 7 for a touch, so that seems like a good play. But I actually feel like if we're looking at the volume play, Quentin Patton, who's virtually unowned, is the better option. If you look at his number of targets, and over the past 2 weeks, which is when Colin Kaepernick has been under center, he has, and I want to make sure I get this perfectly correct, he did have over 100 yards in week 9, and over the past 2 weeks, just give me one quick second. All right, he's had 17 targets over the past 2 weeks. Jeremy Curley has had 13, and he does have the touchdown, but Quentin Patton, 17 targets, and there's not going to be probably Torrey Smith, not that he's been much of a factor, but still, he's likely not going to play, and you have to imagine that the Patriots secondary is going to key in on Jeremy Curley as the supposed number one, which would open things up for Patton in a big way, especially if Torrey Smith's not on the field.
Right.
So I feel like that, and he's $10, which is the base minimum price in Yahoo DFS, and I think he's owned in like 0.5% of Yahoo leagues, like not even a full percent of Yahoo leagues. So that is my deep flyer this week.
I don't hate it. My only concern is the defense.
Go ahead.
Right? Yeah, my only concern is the defense. He did have a decent game 2 weeks ago, but that was against the Saints. Right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's my only concern. But if you're talking about deep sleepers, it's as good as any.
Yeah, and it's he's actually starting over Curley. Curley's like the slot guy, so I kind of like Patton in that regard as well.
And then he'll have the outside, right? And I think Logan Ryan would be the outside DB for CB for New England. And a couple of weeks ago, he was giving up on average over 15 fantasy points per game, according to Player Profiler. So decent matchup there as well. And I feel like my job is not just to be like, and you know what? Like, I'm going to say it, I don't really do this, but I was right about Tyrell Williams at the top of the season, and then Cam Meredith, and then Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill, sure.
Nelson.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right more often than not, Liz.
We get so many comments. They're good. Hey, guys, we love the show. And she's always right.
Yeah, you guys are okay, but Liz is awesome.
We get that so often.
Well, that's good to hear, because I'm not. Last week was the only one I got right last week was Will Tye, and he was really only right in PPR. But he's another guy. See, that's like what I feel like my job is. So like last week I liked Craig, and this week I like Patton, and maybe Patton blows up next week when things are a little clear, and then everyone's like, oh, yeah, he's a sleeper. I'm like, no. Like, the point is, I'd rather be, like, I was a high on Pro Sice 2 weeks ago, and then it was last week that he really blew up. And it's like, my job is to be ahead of the curve, not just on it.
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm giving you a name. Hopefully he hits the week I say he will. But if he doesn't and he hits like a week later, these are still guys that you want to keep on your fantasy radar, especially A, with me about to drop a baby out of myself and not be doing any shows, and B, as the playoffs arrive, you know.
Right.
So,
Feels.
So there's that. One more really deep one, and then we can talk about some others. So I think it's Gerald Toussaint, running back in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Made an awful mistake last week. But hear me out. The Steelers have dropped way too many in a row. They're worried about their playoff hopes. They also have to be worried about Le'Veon Bell. And when you look at the Cleveland Browns, the two best ways to beat them, Joe Hayden is still a guy, right? Like, he's still a threat, and he managed to quiet Brandon Marshall. So I'm not saying you're sitting Antonio Brown, but, like, rather than focusing on the receiving core, you can run against Cleveland. You can run all day. But why would you sacrifice Le'Veon Bell, knowing his durability history, when you can put Fitzgerald Toussaint out at the goal line from 2 yards out? D'Angelo Williams is gone for the rest of the fantasy season.
Yep,
I think
he's
he's out 2 to 4 weeks.
Yep.
That's your guy. So I think Toussaint is a great bet for, like, I don't know, 37 yards and a touch.
So I did not. I don't plan on playing him, but I grabbed him in 3 out of 4 leagues.
Just in case.
I did. Yeah. Well, that offense is so dynamic, and you saw what D. Will could do when Bell was down. I'm not going to pass up that opportunity. No way. Yeah. So I grabbed him in a bunch of leagues yesterday.
And
nobody picked him up.
This is the week that they're going to try to use him. I think he fumbled last week.
He did.
Or he threw a penalty. He fumbled, right?
I think it was a fumble, yeah. It was a major issue.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but...
Yeah, so he's got some stuff, but with the you don't need to run a stud against Cleveland.
That's a sad state of affairs, but it is absolutely true.
It's 100% accurate.
It's very simple. So I like him. And then in that same matchup, if the only other position that the Browns could be even softer against would be the tight end position. Obviously, there's no Gronk this week, so that means that people are looking desperately on the waiver wire. Cameron Brate is a name that keeps coming up, but Kansas City is his matchup, and that's not a great matchup, frankly, and it's hard to trust Tampa Bay. I own Brate in a bunch of leagues, but you know, I'm never like 100% confident that he's going to catch a touchdown, which is basically Tampa, what you want after the first 3 guys. You know?
And Tampa's only given up 4 points a game to fantasy tight ends. Still, the guy does got 3 touchdowns in his last 4 games, though. So it's kind of hard to ignore.
Yeah. I think Jesse James is, like, you've got Jesse James and Ladarius Green back. Jesse James, to me, for Pittsburgh against Cleveland, he's $11 in Yahoo BFS. He, to me, is the safer option because he's the already established talent. He and Ben Roethlisberger have the rapport. But I think just like when the Saints played the 49ers, I said there was enough to go around between Hightower and Ingram. There's going to be enough production here between Jesse James and Ladarius Green. The question is who gets the touchdown. It wouldn't surprise me to see it could be either one of these guys, but I think if you're looking for a stream, take James if he isn't available, and Green is, then go ahead and stream with him. But either of these 2 guys can produce against Cleveland. They're giving up the most fantasy points to tight ends on the season, so come on.
Yeah, some teams are able to put 2 tight ends, and have them both be fantasy viable. Like, Vernon Davis with the Redskins has actually been doing well, even though Reed has been playing and doing well. So
it does happen occasionally. It depends on the offense,
yeah.
And the talent.
And the talent, yeah.
I also think, what's another one? I want to talk about Isaiah Crowell while we're talking about Cleveland.
That should be interesting.
He started the season hot. Well, I think that, Hugh Jackson came out and admitted he wasn't rushing the ball well enough. The Steelers have had a lot of key injuries that would affect their run-stuffing ability. and they've been struggling against the run anyway. Crowell, listen, Duke Johnson without Josh McCown under center isn't doing anything. And Hugh Jackson likes the sort of skill set that Crowell presents. So I think Crowell, after him being, pretty cool, people have pulled to him because his production has slowed. I think that's going to tick upward this week. And, here's another one. Sorry, I'm all over the place because I'm just thinking of, I want to make sure we talk about tomorrow night's game, Thursday night. I think Ted Ginn is a super sneaky sleeper against New Orleans on a Thursday night. Yeah.
That is probably not crazy. Dude, we've seen it. No, we've seen it. We've seen him blow up before. He was very good last year with Calvin Benjamin out. Obviously, that's not the case now. Different football team. Obviously, Carolina's not playing as well, but he is still dangerous. And this is a very good matchup against the Saints team, who's giving up 22 points a game, I think, to fantasy wide receivers.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And he's got that speed element that if he could break one off for 72 yards, right? Last year. He caught 5 of 7 last week, and he's second in team targets. Over the past 3 weeks, he's been second in team targets. He doesn't have that big red zone profile that Benjamin and Funchess have. But Funchess, Calvin Benjamin hasn't been the red zone factor we were expecting. Funchess' production is incredibly difficult to predict. And I think that Ted Ginn just is fast enough that coming off of it, his speed is so fast that maybe coming off of a short week, he's just normal speed. But the secondary and the defense is a step slower because they haven't had the time to recover. And so just seeing him, and it's not let's be honest, the secondary in New Orleans is particularly shut down. So I just feel all the attention is going to be on Calvin Benjamin. Mm-hmm. He's bigger than everybody else, and they're going to try double teaming him. And then Ted Ginn is just going to be he's going to break off some crazy slant route and then just go up the side.
Yeah, I believe since the bye, he has more targets and more receptions than anybody else on the team, and that includes Greg Olsen. So pretty impressive.
There you go.
There you have it.
So those are my guys. Watch out for Crowell. Watch out for Ginn. Toussaint is super deep. Those tight ends in Pittsburgh are super deep, and Quentin Catton. If you're chasing points and you need a win to maybe get yourself over the playoff hump.
Love it.
And there you go.
I thought you were going to talk about Akeem Hunt, running back for the Houston Texans.
Yeah,
that's a deep one.
Well, he had 2 yards.
That is a deep one.
He had 52 yards.
I thought you only had 2. Wait, I might be thinking about somebody else.
He had 8 carries for 52. And with the 2 guys in front of him questionable, he's as deep a sleeper as you can find this week.
Who was I thinking about?
Look at you, Kevin, taking my job. I don't trust. I think the problem with Lamar Miller, though, has been game flow. I just don't think that they can run the ball the way they want to because Osweiler sucks so bad that they're okay, Nuke, let's just keep throwing it in Nuke's general direction and pray for a miracle so that we can tie this up, even though they're at the top of the division, I think.
Or close. Yeah, it's can we put 9 in the box? Because, Osweiler can't hit the broadside of a barn, so let's just put 9 in the box.
So bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tony Romo there next year? You think Tony Romo's a Texan next year, Liz?
I think he's a Bear.
Ooh, I didn't consider that.
Ooh.
That is incredibly valid.
Home, Tony.
Wow. Oh, you really? You want Tony Romo? Well, I don't know that you want that.
Dude, I've had however many years of Jay Cutler. I'll take anybody. Well, not Brock Osweiler, but basically.
It's a fair point.
The quarterback class next year is not great. I'll take Tony Romo in a beanie over Jay Cutler stealing Virginia Slims on the sideline.
Nice. Tony comes in, he gets hurt the first game, you pay him. You don't get any. You still got Jay Cutler and Tony Romo's salary. I'm sorry.
Don't do that to her.
I'm not trying to upset you, Liz. I'm just teasing.
We don't hate Romo. We hate the Cowboys.
That's true. I've always liked Romo as a fantasy quarterback.
Me too. Yeah. Just hated him.
I think he also seems like here's a quick story. I have not met him, but a girlfriend of mine is the niece to one of these wedding planners to the stars here in LA. And when he was dating Jessica Simpson, her sister Ashley was getting married for the first time, and my girlfriend's aunt was doing their wedding. And so my girlfriend would, on the weekends, like, help her aunt for extra money. Like, I don't know, gather flowers or be an assistant or just do whatever because we were all broke in our 20s. And so she was, like, doing something in the area that the ladies were supposed to be getting ready. And all of a sudden she heard this snoring. And she was, like, scared. She was like, what the hell? I thought I was alone in here. I'm just, like, gathering vases or something. And she hears this snoring. So she's poking around, and Tony Romo is on the sofa taking a nap and snoring. And she's like, he, like, startles awake, and she's like, hi. She's like, oh, God, sorry. I just couldn't take all that, like, girl chatting, and I just needed to take a nap. And she was like, no problem. So then he, like, napped on the sofa while she, you know, got the, I don't know, it was the, like, little villa where all the ladies were going to get ready at some point over the weekend.
Wow.
The wedding weekend.
Sounds
But
like
he was, like, wonderful and dopey and just a total mensch.
I have great respect for people who can just fall asleep whenever they want to.
I'm one of them. I could be asleep in 2 minutes sitting in this chair.
I can never fall asleep. So it's just like it's
think about
fascinating
all
to
of
me.
the drugs that are probably running through his system, right? Like all of the like painkillers at any time that just residually builds up in his muscle fiber.
It's just like he can just tap into them, like he's in the Matrix. He can just select one and amp it up.
I think I'm going to go with Oxy today. Liz, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much, and have a good work weekend.
Yeah.
Are we doing a show the day before Thanksgiving? You're
Sure.
good for Wednesday?
Sure.
We are.
Yeah, we are. I don't know if you are.
Feel free to clap out if you like, but
yeah, we'll probably do it early. We'll give you a text and let you know what's up.
yeah, we generally do it at like 2 or something.
Yeah, we generally try to do it earlier in the day. So
Yeah, so I'm off that day. So
I'm not.
yeah, that
Just
sucks
text
for you.
me and let me know, and I'm happy to join you. And then once we hit December, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
We'll play it by ear at that point.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Liz.
Thanks, Liz.
Okay.
Thanks, Liz.
Thanks, guys. Have
All
a
right.
good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Always
goes.
classing up the joint.
Yeah, she's she comes with the knowledge, man.
And she's one in a million, that Liz Loza.
Indeed. And there she goes.
We got very lucky
We did.
with her finding us.
Yeah, because she always, gives us credit for giving her a shot first, but she'd have been where she is without us.
And also, she contacted us. She was like, hey.
Yeah. Here's a couple of schmucks I can get on their show.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we had a large audience back then. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out here doing what we do.
Yeah. It's about half of what it was back then.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Let's talk about some football
Let's
games.
do that so I can leave.
Yeah, Saints-Panthers Thursday night tilt. Drew Brees is, of course, a thumbs up every single week until he tells us to stop.
Good God.
Yeah, Mark Ingram and Tim Hightower, not a great matchup for them. The Carolina Panthers played pretty good run D. Either way, both of these guys have been so productive in the last 4 games. I'm going to say play them anyway. They both contribute in the passing game, and in crunch time, right before the playoffs, it's not a good time to go getting cute with your running backs. You got one of these guys, or at least worth a flex. Brandon Cooks from the wide receiver core is, of course, an obvious start. Michael Thomas has become that guy as well. He's actually outproducing Brandon Cooks yard-wise. Certainly not touchdown-wise. Willie Snead has a couple TDs in his last 4, 57 yards a game. I'm not so excited about him, even though it's a great matchup, but certainly Cooks and Thomas get the thumbs up. Kobe Fleener, it's a great matchup for him, but he's just serviceable at best. From the Carolina side, Cam Newton had a pretty big game last week in the loss. I think in this matchup against the Saints, I think Cam Newton's going to do well. I think he is definitely a thumbs-up play. Jonathan Stewart, again, well, here's the thing. If you're playing offense against the Saints, I'm playing you. So Stewart, yes. Kelvin Benjamin, yes. Devin Funchess might even be worth a flex.
Yeah, sure.
Ted Ginn we talked about as a thumbs-up. And Greg Olsen, of course, is a play. So, yeah, if you got a Carolina Panther this week, strong consideration to at least flexing them.
So, along the same lines, Steelers are playing the Browns.
Right.
So
got you a Steeler, do you?
Dude, rain and snow in the forecast.
I saw that.
Have we had a snow game yet this year? I don't think.
No, I don't think
I haven't seen flurries yet.
No.
Guess what?
It's going to be in Pittsburgh. Oh, it's at Cleveland.
It's in Cleveland, yeah.
Which is right, it's right there.
It's the snow belt.
Yeah, right there with Pittsburgh.
I just made that up.
Yeah, a couple hours away.
Big Ben, yeah, okay. I'll give him a nod against the 30th ranked defense. These 2 games back, he's 336, just 4 TDs through the air, another one on the ground. But this is a different matchup. Yeah. So we play him.
He'd be playing if he was going up against the number 5 ranked.
Sure,
defense.
yeah. I would.
In this one, he's a
Lev Bell is obviously a start. Liz mentioned Fitzgerald Toussaint. I don't know that I would give him a nod just yet, but I definitely would.
Let's see what your other options
would put him on the bench. Because this is a dynamic offense, and it gets even better. Wide receivers, they're against the 28th ranked defense. That's Cleveland. So Antonio Brown, we're probably going to play.
You think? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Rodgers and Coates, though.
Well, you know what? Coates is out. He's benched now. So Rodgers is the number 2 guy.
Still.
He's averaging 73 over his last
Over 2 games. He's got 1 touchdown. He's got 10 catches.
I think he's at least worth a flex in a PPR.
I disagree.
That's fine.
I think we got to talk about who else is on your team. It's Antonio Brown. Jesse James, though, again, not great numbers out of him, but the worst defense in the league against tight ends. I think I would play him too.
Sure.
From the Cleveland side, it's a little bit different.
A little bit. That's a good matchup for the running back.
I think, yeah. So Terrell Pryor, I think you have to play.
Yeah, he's not a great
it's the
start this week.
4th ranked defense against fantasy wide receivers. It's terrible. But again, those running backs, man. Crow, I'd probably start Duke Johnson too.
Yeah, I might in a PPR, even though we can't tell what he's done in the past 4 games.
Well, you just click the link. But the bottom line is the running backs are facing the 31st ranked defense against them. I think I would go ahead and give him a shot. Now, last week, Duke Johnson did nothing against Baltimore, but the week before that, he did nothing as well. Week before that, he had a good game. Okay, so occasionally he does, but given this matchup, I think they're going to have to open it up and give the ball to them. So I think it's Pryor and the running backs, and that is that.
I concur. Okay, Ravens-Cowboys. This ought to be a pretty good game, actually. Ravens have a pretty good D. Cowboys have a pretty good O. Let's see what happens. From the Ravens quarterbacking situation, Joe Flacco, yeah, he had an okay fantasy game last week. Can't play him. Sorry, can't. The matchup should be good against Cowboys' 20th ranked fantasy defense against quarterbacks, but I can't say Flacco's a play. Just can't do it. Terrence West, on the other hand, hasn't really been producing as of late. Last 3 games only averaging 32 yards a game with no TDs in there as well. Kenneth Dixon, we've been waiting for him to do something this year. We haven't seen it. Thumbs down to both of those guys. Steve Smith is actually becoming somewhat beastly again, getting healthier in perhaps his last year. Last couple of games averaging 54 yards, has a TD in there. I think he's at least worth the flex in this matchup. Mike Wallace is the beast on this team, though, averaging over 100 yards a game in his last 3. Only has 1 TD in there, but he's caught 18 balls in the last 3 games.
I wonder about these guys like Mike Wallace and Steve Smith, even
right, if
they would have ended up on teams like the 80s 49ers or the 90s Patriots, or
you can say that about a lot of players.
Not
if
Patriots. I'm just saying, like they're clearly brilliant athletes.
Right, if S. Jackson ended up on the 49ers,
right? Stuff like that,
right.
Hall of Famers, probably.
Well, I think Steve Smith,
he might be. Anyway.
He has an argument for it. I was watching the previews for his A Football Life, and he was like, some guys I just kind of go around them. Other guys, I want to wreck them. I want their mothers to be pissed off because I'm treating their boys so bad.
He is by far the favorite player I've ever interacted with on an opposing team.
Yeah?
Yeah, he just stands on the bench and takes his shirt off and flexes.
Anyway, tight ends, really, it's a decent matchup, but these guys aren't doing much. Dennis Pitt is only averaging 27 over the last 3. Better option out there. Dak Prescott, dude, at this point, he's not just Rookie of the Year capable. He's MVP capable.
I think Zeke's got something to say about that. But...
He does. But both of these guys are obviously taking care of business here. Dude, I'm playing Dak Prescott.
Has there ever been a rookie that dropped 200?
What's that?
I don't think so.
They dropped what?
A rookie that dropped 200.
See, I'm talking about Dak Prescott.
I know. I'm talking about Zeke, though.
Yeah, I know. See, I'll get there, and then you can talk about your draft pick, because I know that's what you want to talk about. I was so smart I picked him. Anyway, I'm playing Dak Prescott.
I'm 3-7 in that league. I'm not smart.
That's true. Zeke Elliott, obviously a guy you're going to play.
Has there ever been a rookie that dropped him?
Yeah. The Ravens are number 1 against the run as far as fantasy goes, but still, I think Zeke is definitely a guy you got to play. I think he's a matchup buster. For the wide receivers, Des Bryant is an obvious go. In a PPR, I think Cole Beasley's a go. He's cooled off a little bit, but he's still the guy who is the most targeted player on the team, et cetera, et cetera. So Cole Beasley at least a flex. Des Bryant, wherever you want to put him. Jason Witten has actually lit it up last 3 games. 70-yard average, couple TDs in there. So yeah, why not Jason Witten as well? Thumbs up for Jason. How's that Guinness?
Oh, yeah. It's delicious.
I
have a theory about that. I don't think he's very good.
Really?
Or he may not be very good.
Okay.
You put any NFL quarterback behind the best line in football with that running game and tell me they're going to suck. Right? They're not. They're not. So I just think that he is careful with the football. He's another game manager, sort of like an Alex Smith, way more talented athletically. I think, he can run and stuff like that. Alex Smith is a statue. But I don't think he's as good as people are talking about. I just think he's got a great system around him.
I think he's got a great. I think he's a smart quarterback.
Yep.
I think he goes through his progressions well. He does all the things he needs to do.
Yep.
He finds room to extend the play.
Yep.
And really, in 2016, that's what you want out of your quarterback. That's the Aaron Rodgers model. I mean, Tom Brady busts that model, but it's the Cam Newton, Ben Roethlisberger with your feet, move around, go through your reads,
Russell
find the
Wilson.
open guy.
Yep.
Russell Wilson falls into that. That's quarterbacking in 2016.
It really is.
So he's in that mold. Carson Wentz is in that mold. We'll see what Goff looks like on Sunday. Carson can move around. He's not a runner, but he can certainly roll out and climb the ladder and all those quarterbacks.
He's pretty fast.
Well,
I think he ran a 4.7 or something, 4.6.
Faster than us.
It's way faster.
There you go.
Anyway, all right, Jaguars and Lions. Blake Bortles still rather average, but I really love him this week.
Against the Lions.
Lions are they're just dishing out candy to fantasy quarterbacks. So I really like Bortles. He's averaging 275 over his last 4. He's got 8 TDs. He's also got 4 picks. Not so good there, but Lions are 31st against fantasy quarterbacks. So if you can play him, I do like it. The running backs suck and they have a terrible matchup. Not going to really discuss them.
I would say just go right on by them.
The wide receivers have a middling matchup. Lions are 16th against them. And we got Allen Robinson. Yeah, he's got 2 TDs, averaging 66 over his last 4. Okay. Lee's got 66 yards a game. Allen Hurns is at 52, a TD there. It's really slim pickings here. So these guys are flexes if you need them. Otherwise, no.
Right, because I'm sitting there, I'm looking at Hurns and, guys who are like him. I'm like, there's no real reason for me to feel compelled to put Hurns in.
Right.
No,
agreed. But then you come to tight ends, and it really doesn't get much better for tight ends. Lions are giving up 11.8 points a game. It's 12. That's 31st, believe it or not, to fantasy tight ends. And Julius has 3 touchdowns in his last 4 games. He skipped one against Kansas City, but he scored in the other 3. But last week he had 10 targets, 6 catches for 24 yards and a touchdown.
It happens.
It's not great, but as a tight end, I'll take 8 points, I guess.
Yeah, not everybody's Gronk,
I guess. Again, 12 points a game is dead last in the league.
Right.
So if he gets 10, okay. 8 points, okay. It's not terrible, I guess. From the Lions side, Matty Stafford has cooled considerably. And he's facing...
That's kind of what he does. He kind of roller coasters that.
But remember, beginning of the season, he was blowing up.
He had a great stretch of games.
He did. In his last 3, he's averaging 242. He's got 4 touchdowns and a pick. Not happy about that. Would fade him here. Jaguars are actually 13th against fantasy quarterbacks. No spank you. The running backs are sort of even worse at this point. I guess you play Riddick still in a PPR, right?
I think you play Riddick no matter what. Dude's averaging over 100 total yards a game. So
he is, but it's just not. Like last week, we had 14 carries for 70 and a catch for 3. A catch for 6. It's just like...
Not fantastic.
No, it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, start him if you need to.
At least flex worthy.
The wide receivers it's not a good matchup, and it's even more confusing. Golden Tate, obviously, 71 yards a game over his last 3. He's got 24 catches in that span. Love that kind of stuff. Just 1 touchdown. Like him in a PPR. Marvin Jones, I want to love. But he's cooled considerably. Anquan Bolden doesn't catch enough passes. He's got 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games, but only 6 catches.
Right.
I can't really depend on that. Wouldn't start Ebron really unless it was a PPR. If you got him in that, I don't hate it, but I would hope that you have somebody better.
I would hope so as well. Colts and the Flaming Thumbtacks, the Titans. Rare is it?
We are going to get rid of that.
No, I love it.
All right.
It's a tea on fire. Blue fire, Lyle. With red accents. Anyway, rare is it that Andrew Luck goes into a game not being the best quarterback on the field.
Mariota's on fire, dude.
Right. Now, I remember, maybe it was 5 weeks ago, some guy sent us an email. It's like, yeah, usually I like you guys, but you're not on the Mariota train. I'm like, dude, he hasn't been doing much. And that week, he started to explode.
Well, here's the thing. His receivers took off. Rashard Matthews, which we saw last year when he was in Miami, right, started to play well. Tajay Sharp actually caught a touchdown, started to play a little bit well. Kendall Wright
has blown up,
reemerged. Well,
reemerged
a little bit.
Look, from 0 to not bad.
Right.
Yes.
He's not Zeke Elliott.
Easy now.
Look, you should have seen the look Kevin just gave me.
He's not Zeke Elliott.
And that's why I say it.
You're a dick.
Go ahead, buddy.
Anyway, Marcus Mariota, the matchup, number one, is great. The Colts are 29th against fantasy quarterbacks. Mariota himself has 11 touchdowns in the last 4 games.
I'm sorry, sir. He has 12. How dare you?
He ran one.
Yeah.
I'm talking about his passing.
How dare you, sir?
My bad. Anyway, he's run for 47 yards, has a TD. Yeah, not bad. Marcus Mariota, 3 enthusiastic thumbs up. DeMarco Murray averaging over 100.
One of them is his penis.
That's the joke. That's the joke. That's what I'm saying, not 3 fat thumbs.
Right.
3
decent size and 1 super tiny one.
A
micro thumbs up.
Well, that's not that bad. Anyway, DeMarco Murray, well over 100 yards total per game. 4 TDs in his last 4 games. Absolutely a start for him. As far as the wide receivers goes, pick your poison here. I think Rashard Matthews is a good go. Kendall Wright is also at least worth a flex. Tajay Sharp has moments, and I want to see more moments before I say yes to him. The matchup is only okay. So for me, it's Matthews and Wright and Tajay Sharp if you absolutely have to. Delaney Walker is a weekly go, dude. 3 touchdowns in his last 4, 81-yard game per game
He's another one
average.
of those dudes that year after year steps up.
Even when he was
crappy teams,
even when he was in Frisco, he played well.
Yeah,
and it was the best thing that could happen to him to be out of Vernon Davis's shadow.
Right,
as it turns out, Delaney Walker's actually better than Davis. So anyway, definitely a play for him. Andrew Luck has been playing pretty good. Pretty good.
Superman plays good. He plays
well. That's true. Superman does good.
Whatever.
Andrew plays well.
Whatever.
Last 3 games, averaging 281 per, 6 TDs and 3 picks in there. It's actually run for 92 yards this year. So, okay, you're not going to sit Andrew Luck. It's a good matchup. Frankie Gore.
He's got 4 TDs.
He has 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground.
I'll give him a nod there.
I guess he's worth a flex at least, but the matchup isn't great, and I'm not enthusiastic about playing him.
Okay.
But chances are, you're not going to find anybody better for a running back flex.
Is limp.
So yeah, it's a 1.5 thumb. You get to pick which thumb is the half. The receivers, T.Y. Hilton, unsittable at this point. Dante Moncrief was really counting on touchdowns for his fantasy production. I still don't mind him in this game. It's a good matchup because those Titans give up over 23 points a game to fantasy receivers. So yes to Dante Moncrief, no to Philip Dorsett at this point. From the tight end section here, Jack Doyle, love him. I'm going to play him at tight end. 58 yards a game and a touchdown over his last 3. Those Titans are 24th against fantasy tight ends. So, yes, to Jack Doyle. He may catch a touchdown for you.
He may. Bills are playing the Bengals in Cincy Snatty. Going to be windy, Kevin, the forecast right now.
Breezy.
And Ty God is kind of bad throwing the football, but kind of awesome running it.
He's been pretty good the last month.
Last 3 games, he's only got 2 TDs on through the air, and he's averaging 231. But he also cracked up another 126 on the ground and 3 touchdowns there. The fact that it's going to be windy and the Cincinnati Bengals give up to 19 points a game to fantasy quarterbacks. That's good for 28th in the league. I kind of like him this week.
Dude, he's basically another running back there.
He kind of is, which kind of hurts Shady's value, but I'm still not going to sit him.
It's hard to.
Guy puts up numbers, man. His averages kind of suck when you look at it, but it's basically the Miami game pulled him down. But if you look at the other games, like last week against Seattle, he had 85 yards on the ground, another 35 through the air against Seattle.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good. The 2 weeks before that, not counting the Miami game, he had a $140 and a $150.
Nice
on the ground. Yeah, gonna play Shady. Gillislee is not a factor when Shady's in, and Shady is in. So let's talk about Robert Woods, dude.
Why not?
Guy's averaging 106 yards over his last 2. He comes back. He's healthy.
Can't seem to find that end zone, though.
No, that's Goodwin's job. He caught 8 passes over 2 games for 68 yards and a touchdown. Not super happy about that.
Yeah, Woods in a PPR is a definite good.
Don't hate playing Woods in a PPR. Otherwise, I would fade the rest of the Bills. From the Bengals side, Andy Dalton, it kind of makes me sad. Another guy who kind of does that peak thing, like Matty Stafford. He comes up. Remember last year he was on fire at the beginning of the season, then kind of faded. Yeah. Same thing this year.
His numbers don't look too bad.
They're not horrible. 265 a game over his last 3. He's got a couple TDs there, 4 touchdowns, a couple picks. He's got another TD on the ground, but he's facing the 11th ranked defense, giving up just 15 points a game. The fantasy quarterback's not too happy about that. But the running backs, I do love. Again, the matchup's kind of middling. Bills are giving up 16.2 a game to fantasy running backs, but you got Hill and Gio. Both are getting decent amount of carries, 44 and 35 respectively. Decent amount of yards, 73 and 50 respectively. And a decent amount of TDs, 3 and 2 respectively, over 3 and 4 games. I kind of like that, dude. I would play either one of them. I think they're flex
4 and 3 respectively.
Sorry. Allow Kevin to correct me. I would play either of them in a flex format. I don't think they're probably not tier 1 running backs, but they are maybe a 2 and a flex in Bernard's.
Yeah, we were talking last week about which running backs are automatic starts. Neither of those guys are.
They're not. No. The wide receivers do have one. That guy's name is AJ Green. By the way, he was 3 on that list of. Remember I was talking about the most unstoppable players.
Yeah,
AJ Green was number 3.
Who was second? Gronk was first, and
Gronk was first. Green was third.
Probably Antonio Brown.
It was Antonio Brown, and Julio was 5th, and there was another guy at 4. Yeah, I can't remember. But I just thought it was funny that Gronk beat both Julio and AJ, which I kind of think is like.
Well, what are you going to do? You're going to put a safety on it? You're going to put a linebacker on it?
Still, I've seen Julio just be like, okay, put your best player on me and another player, and I'll just still rack up 200 yards. It's kind of silly. So I would play him. Brandon LaFell has cooled lately. I don't know that I would give him a start unless I had a buy issue or I was desperate.
Yeah, I think there's better players out there at this point.
Yeah, and Eifert had the one big game, but other than that, he has been kind of chilly.
Buccaneers chefs in Kansas City. It gets colder than hell there. Right, colder than hell.
It's going to be mostly sunny, high 51.
Yeah, that's not so bad yet. But, come December, January, when they're in the playoffs, it gets downright chilly.
Global warming, pal.
Yeah. Not in the winter. Jameis Winston actually playing like a professional quarterback these days.
Dude.
256 per, 10 TDs in his last 4. That's pretty damn good.
I'll take it.
A couple picks in there as well. Slightly better than Andy Dalton, but it seems as though he's playing. Actually, it's considerably better.
Considerably better.
6 more touchdowns in the span, but the yards are about the same. But that's okay. Points you get off touchdowns count as well. The matchup is better than average. 18th against fantasy quarterbacks are the Chiefs. Thumbs up to Jameis Winston, dude. Why not? He's getting Doug Martin back this week. Well, hopefully he's going to be muscle hamsterish, if not perfect. But Peyton Barber's still there to take some of the heat away from Martin, and Jaquiz Rogers should be back this week as well, right? I don't see any injury report on him.
I don't, but I don't know, and I don't trust Tampa running backs anyway. So
I don't either. I mean, I'm going to trust Doug Martin when he gets back in.
Yes. When he's 100%, I'm in.
I would like to see what he does this week against a
Me too.
mediocre type of matchup. So
Middling.
middling. Did I say mediocre?
He did.
Well, okay. So anyway,
Love the wide receivers though.
love the wide receiver. So I'm going to be bearish on the Bucks running backs. That means I'm not going to play them. It's a stock term.
I understand.
Yeah.
Are you bullish on the Bucks wide receivers?
I'm bullish on Mike Evans. I'm all over that dude. 91 yards a game in his last four TDs in that span. That would be 1 per on average, Lyle. Even Adam Humphries in this matchup, only averaging 42, but 15 catches in 4 games. In a PPR, I like him. He's gotten into the end zone as well. Great matchup. So, yeah, as a flex, I'd take Adam Humphries to be sure. Cameron Brate, we talked about him before as being a tight end you can play. 3 TDs in his last 4, so thumbs up to him as well. Alex Smith, dude, averaging $130 per game in his last 4. 3 TDs in there, woohoo. Yeah, better options. I think maybe Cody Kessler might be a better option at this point. Spencer Ware averaging...
The thing is, they won all 3 of those games.
They don't need
That's
him.
what they do.
Well, the whole thing in there is 1 INT over 3 games.
Yep.
Over 4 games, rather. Right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's what he does. He doesn't give the ball away.
They won all 4 of those games. Sorry.
Yeah, he doesn't give the ball away.
That's-
He hands off to Spencer Ware really, really well. Spencer, in his last 3, only averaging 52 per. He's got a touchdown through the air as well. So, if Spencer Ware is playing and he's healthy, you got to play him to be sure. Jeremy Macklin's groin is making him questionable. I really like Tyreek Hill with my boy Alex Smith in there. I'm going to play him at least in a flex. He's got 2 TDs over his last 4. And you know what? The thing is, when Foles was in there, Hill really didn't do anything.
No.
Smith comes back, boom, here comes Tyreek Hill. So I'm going to put him in at least a flex. Wilson, Conley, those guys, I have no real love for them. Kelsey, on the other hand, one of the better tight ends in the league, averaging 54 per game in his last 4. And a TD in there as well. If he's been your tight end, I would see no reason to stop playing him now.
Gotta love it. Bears facing against. This one's going to be easy, Kevin.
You think?
Cutler? Nah. Langford? Nah. Howard? Questionable with that ankle. If he plays, yeah, we're going to play him.
Sure.
Alshon Jeffrey? Suspended.
For the next 4.
Yeah,
basically,
no,
he's out of the playoffs.
Does that mean Eddie Royal or Cam Meredith are going to do stuff? I don't know.
You know what? I'm looking at what Eddie Royal was doing before he got hurt. I want to see him do it again.
Yeah, me too. I
You
can't
know?
start him this week, though. I'd love to. I think Zach Miller is the real beneficiary. If somebody's going to do something, it's going to be him. I like him this week. But again, it's not a guarantee, and it's super speculative.
Ain't nothing guaranteed. Man.
From the Giants side, kind of like Eli this week because, listen, it's not great against fantasy quarterbacks. Bears are 14th, giving up just under 16 points a game. But forget about the running backs. Obviously, we're not going to play them.
No.
But
You really don't like Rashad Jennings, do you?
No.
Guy's averaging 66 total yards a game.
Yeah, I hate him. Yeah, don't play him. If you need 6 points, then just roll the dice on somebody else.
Right. Somebody with higher upside.
Yeah. But the wide receivers are facing the dead last defense in the league, and that's going to benefit Eli, man. So Beckham, yes. Shepard, yes. If Cruz plays, I might even stick him in a flex.
He's supposed to be back.
I don't know. It gets weird. Wouldn't touch the tight ends, though.
I don't Liz like Will Tye in a PPR.
I wouldn't touch him.
I don't blame you.
That's me.
Cardinals, Vikings. Carson Palmer had a pretty good game last week. This week he's playing the number 2 team against fantasy quarterbacks, those Vikings. Can you sit Carson Palmer?
Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
other options out there. You don't want to play a guy who's playing the defense that just basically crushes fantasy quarterbacks.
If Rivers was playing, I'd probably question it. If a guy that's middling or having some trouble this year, I can fade.
Right. If it's Breeze, you're going to play him. If it's
Breeze,
Brady,
totally.
you're going to play him. Sure. Larry Fitzgerald is questionable with the knee. Even though the matchup is awful, I still think he's at least flex worthy. From wide receiver 1 down to flex is a pretty big drop, but I think you got to continue to play him. He's averaging 92 per. Michael Floyd is questionable with the neck. He's averaging 70. J.J. Nelson's the only guy who's really caught a touchdown in the last 4 games. He's caught 2 of them, and I think he caught them both in the same game. So really not a whole lot happening as far as receivers go and touchdowns. So really for me, it's Larry Fitzgerald, and that's it. David Johnson, of course, is the guy you're playing.
Do you remember that time that the Eagles were talking about trading for him? I know. I just broke Kevin's heart yet again. You remember that? You remember that?
I was feeling pretty good today, man.
Yeah, sorry.
And it almost happened.
Look, this is how big of fans we are. We reminisce about things that almost happened.
We talk about when Andy Reid drafted Freddie Mitchell and
ahead of
Reggie
Reggie
Wayne
Wayne
was still on the board.
Yeah.
We talk about that and we're like, and we clink beers. We're like,
You're like, God damn it.
we could have been somebody. From the Minnesota side, Sammy Bradford actually put up 307 and a couple TDs for me last week.
Looked good.
I still lost the game,
Oh.
but my quarterback did okay.
He looked good.
He did.
I think Bradford's a good quarterback. Man.
I think he is, and I think is if he gets to stay there and continue to play, even after what's the Schmutz comes back,
Bridgewater. What are they going to do with him though?
I don't know. You got to go with the kid. I think, really, don't you? Do you?
But Bradford's still a kid.
I know.
He's 26.
Well, he's probably 28 now, but
I
still,
don't know. Yeah.
in the NFL now,
Let's
he's
see.
got 10 years left.
He's 29. Okay, never mind.
He still has 10 years left.
Maybe he does. Yeah.
Right. So, future us will worry about that. But right now, I'm not going to play Sam Bradford. You know why? Because the Cardinals play pretty good defense
They
against
do.
quarterbacks.
Occasionally, they're good.
So, even in the best of situations, Sam Bradford's iffy. In a bad situation, he's no way. And the running backs fall into the same category, too. The Cardinals are good against the run. So are you going to risk any of these guys? No, you're not going to. Wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, I would play him. He's averaging 85 yards over the last 4.
Yeah, you got to play Diggs.
And a touchdown in there as well. But none of these other guys. Charles Johnson, hell no. Cordarrelle Patterson, no. Kyle Rudolph, he's averaging 39, has a couple TDs over his last 4. So as a tight end, I would probably continue to roll him. But guess what? The Cards are number 1 against fantasy tight ends.
Gross.
Less than 3 points a game. So look elsewhere, if you have an option to play another tight end. Really, this entire Minnesota team, except for Diggs, is sittable.
It's kind of sad, dude.
It is.
Dolphins, Rams, another easy one. Tannehill, J-E.
Yeah. From what I understand, he was in pain on the sideline this last week, but he's
Fell
not on the injury
Fell back to
report,
earth.
but-
Damian Williams came in a couple times. He had he's the guy I was thinking about when I said 2 carries.
Yeah.
He had 2 carries for 2 yards, had a touchdown, caught another pass for a touchdown. I wouldn't recommend him, obviously, but an interesting stash on your bench. JJ, I think you still have to play. The guy is his last 4. He's 204, 214, 111, and then 79 last week, apparently with some pain.
Yeah, but dude, 79 is nothing to sneeze at.
It's not. He didn't score, and he had scored 4 in the previous 3.
Yeah.
I think I'm still playing him. Jarvis Landry is a guy that obviously we always look at it in a PPR. He hasn't scored in a long time, which bothers me.
He hasn't.
I think it was week 4, something like that, week 3 against Cleveland. It was back in September, Kevin.
Everybody scores against Cleveland.
Yeah, I know. Kenny Stills is 2 in his last 3, but again,
not a whole lot going on there.
No, the quarterback situation is bad. Devontae Parker is somebody that I really like. Obviously, he dropped a big 103 last week against San Diego, but not a great matchup. Rams are 8th against fantasy wide receivers. Still, if I was going to play one of these guys aside from Landry,
It would be Parker.
It would be Parker. I don't hate him. The only other person I can recommend maybe is Deion Sims, but even then, probably not. As a tight end goes, I would look other places. I think he's ultra talented. I really like him, but it's a bad matchup, and he hasn't done a whole lot lately.
Man, Case Keenum stung it up last week.
Yeah. From the Rams side,
Yeah,
no thanks.
$165 for Case.
Let me just.
You had the stiffy for him last week.
I did like him.
Yeah.
I did like him. You should have bet me. All those other times I was right, and I got one wrong. And you had an opportunity to win.
Just the fact
5
that you were
American.
as wrong as you were for a guy you love so much is payment enough for me.
It shouldn't be.
Well, you know what?
I have 20 American riding around in my pocket.
That's okay,
From
man. I
you.
don't miss that $20.
Straight from you.
You spent that already.
No, I didn't.
Really?
Have I spent $20 since we did it? Yes. Did I spend that 20? No. It's on my mantle.
You just like having it.
Damn right. I like to touch it. Toddy Gurley, man, I don't know what to do here, Kevin.
You sit him is what you do because he hasn't done anything, dude.
They're going to have to rely on him because of Goff, dude. So they're going to have to do it, right?
There's no holes for him to run through. He gets the ball. He runs into a brick wall of his own guys being stood up by the defense.
So the flex level. He's not a flex, right? I mean,
I would have to go situation by situation.
Okay, so we're going to talk about it, but I don't think he's a clear sit.
Well, no, he's not a definite. You got to absolutely sit him. It's got to be situational.
When we talked, I just mentioned his name. You said you sit him, but I don't think he's necessarily a clear sit. Right? He's not Rashad Jennings. F.U. Giants fans.
No, yeah, he's not Matt Asiata.
From the receiver side, they actually have a pretty good matchup, so I like Britt an awful lot.
I do.
Tavon Austin actually intrigues me. I just don't want to. I wouldn't start him. I just think he's talented, man. I like Quick too.
Everybody in the NFL's talented.
You say that, but
it's true.
But there's levels to that talent. And I like Tavon Austin. Well, I mean, we've seen him run the football in the NFL. You know what I mean? He's a versatile player. But they're not utilizing him well enough. Obviously, I wasn't going to recommend him. I was just saying that I like him.
I would take Quick over Austin at this point.
I like Kenny Britt, though. I think I would continue to play him. But the whole Goff thing scares the hell out of me. So he's a flex at desperation because of Goff.
Yeah, we got to see what the kid can do. If he's throwing the ball to the other team all day, it could get ugly.
Right.
Patriots at the 49ers. It's supposed to rain, 64 degrees there. So Patriots, it's actually a little bit of a vacation for them. Tommy Brady averaging 284 a game in his last 3, 6 TDs, a pick in there. I think Tom Brady's a guy you just pretty much start, right? LeGarrette Blount, dude had 3 freaking TDs last week. Everybody was talking about, Brady back. Are they going to pass the ball more? When James White's starting to step up a little bit, he's getting some catches. LeGarrette Blount, 3 TDs. He has 6 TDs in his last 3, averaging 80 yards per. He actually caught a football a couple weeks ago. So, LeGarrette Blount against the number 32 ranked run defense in fantasy, 49ers, giving up almost over 26 points a game. Yeah, LeGarrette Blount, big, fat 3 enthusiastic thumbs up there. Julian Edelman, also a great start this week because his 49ers suck against the pass, too. Edelman's only given you 65 yards a game over his last 3. I think he's going to surpass that and then some this week. The 49ers give up 25 points a game to receivers, so yeah, absolutely. Rob Gronkowski is questionable with a chest issue, as we talked about earlier. Martellus Bennett could not be a more liked start this week at the tight end spot. Love Martellus Bennett this week. From the 49ers, Colin Kaepernick had himself a decent game last week, and it is as we expect. He throws some, he runs
decent
some.
Decent game, amazing hair.
Yeah, he's great here. When he puts it in the rows, I'm a little disappointed.
Me too.
I'm going to see him pop that helmet off and have the hair just go.
I love it.
Do you remember that movie? I can't remember what it was, but it was like...
it was the Lethal or Naked Gun series, wasn't it?
No, it was the Wayans brothers did a movie where the woman took off her underwear. Boof, she had this massive bush. You remember the scene?
Don't be a menace to society while drinking your juice in the hood.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Okay. So, yeah, that's what his hair just kind of...
No, that was Scary Movie.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was a Wayans Brothers joint. That's all I know.
It was the chick that's married to Chris Pratt. Anna Faris. She's married to Chris Pratt now.
All right.
Yeah. So that was the first Scary Movie where the dude wanted to go down on her and she took her pants off and it was like, whoa. And remember he had the hedge clipper? And he was like, yeah, it was awesome.
Anyway, so
that's what you want to see.
That's what you're looking for.
You want to see giant pubes
when
pop
Colin,
out of the helmet.
Sorry, Colin. We're not dissing you, dude.
No. We reminisce.
You're
funny movies.
You got the throwback haircut. That's all.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
I wish I could grow my hair like that.
I wish I could just grow hair. Man.
Just anything.
Carlos Hyde came back last week. Yeah. I'm really kind of hoping he comes back well because I've got the dude on a fantasy team. He had 13 carries for 14 yards. Welcome back to the starting lineup there, Carlos. The lineup or the matchup this week is a little bit better against the Patriots, so we'll see. Only slightly better, but really he's the only option there. DeJuan Harris actually had a game a couple weeks ago, but he's not anybody you can trust. We were talking about Quentin Patton and Jeremy Curley with Liz earlier. She likes Quentin Patton. I do too. I think he's a pretty good go this week. Jeremy Curley, on the other hand, has been doing a little bit better. He's up and down, as you would expect from a wide receiver in San Francisco. I think both of those guys can be considered flexes at best this week. And Vance McDonald's one of those guys who catches a long touchdown periodically, but you probably have a better option at tight end than that dude.
Right. Eagles Seahawks, man. I wish I had better news for you.
Yeah, it's not good.
I cannot start an Eagle.
Well, on Tuesdays, I do a shot on Wildfire Radio on the he's going to kill me. I can't. Shoot Tooth show.
Okay.
With Mike Gilligan.
Yep.
And he was asking me, what Eagles can we hope to start this week in fantasy? I'm like, Zach Ertz.
Maybe
Zach.
Maybe. He's got 19 catches in his last 4. Dude, Wentz, listen, love his future, but he's not a startable fantasy quarterback right now. Ryan Matthews, yes, he did come back last week, had a big game. He's facing the 16th ranked Seahawks. Sure, he's got 4 TDs in his last 4. It looks good, but I don't know how many carries the dude's going to get. Can't guarantee it. Don't know.
You can't guarantee what kind of carries any of these guys are going to get.
I absolutely love.
Had 2 carries last week.
Right. Can't touch him. So Smallwood actually looks pretty good at times.
He does.
Can't touch him. Jordan Matthews kind of looks like he's a professional wide receiver on occasion.
Most of the
time.
time.
But then drops footballs. Can't start him. I really can't touch them all. Just got to fade him, dude. I really can't.
Is the guy, the blank spacing,
dude,
is
yeah,
Treggs?
Yeah, it's Treggs. But can't recommend him either.
You can't recommend him, but I see him maybe catching a long one or two. They
maybe
chuck the ball down the field and see what happens.
Maybe,
these days,
but against the Seahawks in Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay, so from the Seahawks side,
yeah.
So Russell Wilson had a game.
He's healthy now. He's starting to play like Russell Wilson.
It's nice to see, but he's coming in facing the 6th ranked Eagles defense. Not a huge fan. Rawls might come in. So what's that mean for Procease? What does it mean for Rawls? Procise, whatever.
Well, one's right, one's wrong.
Okay, supposedly. Either way, they're facing the 5th ranked run defense. I don't think I can recommend either of them. I don't know what the split's going to be.
Don't know what Rawls is actually going to be healthy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know yet. So
I think he probably is. Otherwise, they wouldn't have cut Michael loose.
On Saturday, we'll probably have a clearer picture of what's going to go on. So maybe we can talk about it then. But right now, I got to fade them both. And I started Procease in 2 leagues last week.
Going to go ahead and be Procease.
Yeah, I started Procase. The wide receivers. I guess I can give a nod to Dougie Baldwin.
Yeah, dude caught 3 TDs, man.
Okay, I guess I can give a nod to him. Maybe, but again, it's a huge question mark. And dude, Jimmy Graham, I think you have to start him. But the Eagles are 2nd ranked against fantasy tight ends. They shut him down.
Eagles play great at home. They're in Seattle this week. Yeah, I don't think it's going to end well for them.
That 13th man.
Yeah. Go ahead and be the 12th man.
I know.
Packers, Redskins. Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers. Not playing Rodgers-like, but still you can't sit him. He's averaging over 300 yards in his last 4, 12 TDs, 3 picks.
Is he still a Hall of Famer, Kevin?
Yeah, I think he's going to eke his way into the Hall, Running backs, Starks came back and had 33 yards on 7 carries. Had a TD catch. Good for him. The Packers loved his production so much they went out and got Christian Michael off the waiver wire. So who knows what his situation is going to be this week.
I actually think he's going to be pretty good as a Packer.
He might.
I don't like Christian Michael, but I really didn't like him as a Seahawk. As a Packer, I feel a little bit different about it.
Yeah?
Yeah. They have a lot of different weapons.
Hang on. So Christian Michael, Rashad Jennings.
Chris Michael.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if he's going to play this week or not. I mean, his running game is a little tough.
I would guess no. Like, if it is, it's a simple,
go through that whole
I form. Yeah.
Something, yeah. But really, I'm not going to be able to recommend any of these running backs for the Packers. Sorry about that. Wide receivers, on the other hand. Dude, Devontae Adams is a top 15 fantasy receiver.
Love him.
Got to have him. Randall Cobb caught 2 touchdowns in his last 3. Jordy Nelson, 3 touchdowns in his last 4.
16th-round pick.
That's right. Ty Montgomery, I think his running back days might be coming to an end. We keep saying that every week, and he keeps doing it. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'd play all 4 of those guys, honestly. In the order that they're, Jordy, Devontae, Randall, and Ty, in that order. If you got one of them, I would feel good about putting them in. From the Washington Redskins
Talk to me about Captain Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, averaging 340 freaking yards per game in the last 3, 5 TDs in there, only has 1 pick, ran a touchdown in. He's doing pretty good. Now, the Packers are 16th against fantasy quarterbacks. Well.
Superman does good.
You love that, don't you?
I do.
Being able to throw it correct at me.
You do it to me.
Well, you suck. Anyway, Kirk Cousins, thumbs up for him against the what do you do, dude? Against the Packers. Running back wise, Rob Kelly's kind of taken over the gig, right? 66 yards a game there. Has a TD in his last 3. No real love for any of these guys.
I guess it's really crappy.
It's an RBBC. You know, Chris Thompson comes in on 3rd down. It's ugly. You probably have better options, and the matchup isn't great this week either. So Rob Kelly maybe is a flex. The other guys, I'm going to fade him. Wide receivers, really good matchup.
For Jamison Crowder.
Right, for Jamison Crowder. He's actually been lighting up. Last 3 games, averaging 84 per, 2 TDs in there. Pierre Garçon actually hasn't been doing bad either. He hasn't gotten into the end zone, but as far as number of catches, he's averaging just under 5, about 50, 60 yards a game. So, you know,
You're at 10 points in a PPR.
Right. So if you're looking for a flex or in DraftKings League, Pierre Garçon might be working for you in the flex there. Tight ends, I'd play both of these guys. Jordan Reed's averaging 70, has a touchdown in his last 2. Vernon Davis is averaging 79, has a touchdown in his last 3. I like both of those guys in this matchup. So, yeah, if you can play them both, play one because they're tight ends.
Texans Raiders to take us out. Brock Osweiler.
Dude.
Kevin and I talked about him. Yeah. You gonna fade him?
Brock?
Yeah. You playing him?
I want him off on my waiver wire. That's how much I love that guy.
Right. Gonna fade him. Running backs have a very good matchup against the Raiders. They're 22nd against fantasy running backs. And we got ourselves a Lamar Miller situation, who is average. We got Akeem Hunt, who ran for 52 yards. Alf Blue had a decent game a couple weeks ago.
Well, the reason I put him on this list, and you said, you know, every week I give Lyle a list of guys to take off and put on this list here. You know, Blue is questionable. Miller's questionable. You know, Hunt came in and had 8 carries for 50+ yards.
Yep.
So
52.
52. Yep. So is he viable this week? I don't know. Keep an eye on what the other guys are doing.
If those guys don't play, he's probably a decent start.
Yeah. So run to your waiver wire now and grab him if you want him.
Otherwise, I probably wouldn't play any of them. Maybe Lamar Miller. If Lamar Miller plays, I'd play him. But again, it's a flex. From the wide receivers, man, I just don't know what to do. Okay. Will Fuller's questionable with the knee.
I know exactly what to do.
I love DeAndre Hopkins, but I guess you fade him.
Yeah.
Tight ends, Fedorowicz.
I play Fedorowicz, yeah.
Yeah, okay. From the quarterback side, it's a bad matchup.
You mean the Raiders side?
Sorry, the Raiders side. The quarterback is a bad matchup. Derek Carr, averaging 300, just at 5 TDs now. He's kind of cooled a bit.
Derek Carr, MVP candidate?
Candidate, sure.
The Raiders are leading the West, aren't they?
Is he Matt Ryan? No. Is he Dak Prescott? No. I've heard his name mentioned, dude. I know you think it's crazy.
What, Dak Prescott?
Yeah,
I was saying before he's MVP candidate.
Oh, I thought you said Rookie of the Year.
I said not just Rookie of the Year, but also MVP.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's fair. It seems kind of crazy to me, but
it kind of does. When was the last time a rookie won MVP?
Never. It's never happened. No, it's never happened.
You got to keep talking. I'm going to effort it.
So I still would play Derek Carr. It's not a great matchup, and he has cooled, but he's got weapons for days. Tavius Murray has 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games. Kind of going to play him. Texans are 21st against fantasy running backs, so I love that. The stuff is not good for the wide receivers. The matchup, rather. Texans are 3rd, giving up just under 16 points a game. That's, again, spread across all wide receivers.
2.
There's 2 rookies that have done it.
One Associated Press MVP rookie year.
All right. Have they all happened before 1980?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then I'm not going to know.
Well, you'll know exactly who both of these guys are.
Before 1980?
One of them before I was born, so that's a long time ago.
So that's in the 50s.
Jimmy Brown won the Associated Press MVP.
I was going to say Jimmy Brown.
1957. Who was the other one?
O.J. Simpson.
No. 1978. Won the Pro Football Writers of America
Give me
MVP.
the position.
RB.
1978 running back.
You have about 3 seconds because it's only an hour and a half show.
1978 running back.
Who could it possibly be? People are running to their
late 70s. Okay, so Steelers were good. I'm trying to think of like teams that were winning and stuff.
You give up?
No.
Oh, jeez. Come on, man.
Is he a Hall of Famer now?
Yes.
So he's a well-known name.
Yeah.
So he's a super obvious name.
Yes,
Running back.
Absolutely.
In the late 1970s. I already said O.J. Simpson. I'm going to punch myself in the dick.
Actually, O.J. Simpson ran for 2,000 yards in 1973, so O.J. Simpson was more of a 60s rookie. So.
Sure, but I'm just saying, like, that's one of the 70s running backs I know. Earl Campbell?
Earl Campbell!
Was it Earl Campbell?
The Tyler Rose.
Yes.
Well, you did. It was like, pulled it right out of
No,
your butt.
he's the only other 70s running back I
don't
really know.
Earl Campbell, maybe?
Dude, he was awesome. Let me finish this game, and then we can talk about Earl Campbell.
All right.
So Tavius Murray is certainly going to play. The wide receivers, yes, they have a very bad matchup. But Cooper and Crabtree, I still think you have to play. I don't care. They're both averaging 77 for Crabtree and 86 for Cooper. They both have a touchdown in their last 3. They are dynamic wide receivers that can break a game open. If the Raiders have any chance of winning this game, they're going to have to get those guys the football. I have to believe one of them is going to do something. And those be your games, bitches.
I think both of them could do something.
Now, Early Campbell. Loved that dude.
Go ahead and beat the Tyler Rose.
Oh, my God. He was, dude, if you guys haven't seen footage of this dude just murking people, running them over. And by the way, longtime sufferer of anxiety and like panic disorder, full on had panic attacks like all the time.
Right.
But still was able to,
just
muster himself up and just, So if anybody has like trouble with anxiety, just watch a video of this dude and he'll talk about it. He's like, yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, watch how he was, he took care of his business.
Yeah, he would just go out there and just murk people. Yeah, Earl Campbell was a bad mofo. Played for the Oilers back in the day.
The Houston Oilers, that's right. Yeah. Became the Titans.
Yes, they did.
When they moved to
the
Tennessee.
Flaming Thumbtacks.
Thumbtacks, yeah. So the thing about Earl, you watch him and he wore a tearaway jersey, so he just his jersey would be, he'd be standing there in pads in the end zone because people were trying to grab him, tear his jersey off. The best one though is when they were playing the Rams and some safety tried to fill the hole he was going to run through, and he just lowered his head. Dude had a neck big as me, right? So he just lowered his head and just hit the guy right in the sternum. The guy just melted to the side,
crumpled. He was like,
he was like, it's over.
Yeah.
And I don't think he scored a touchdown on that play, but everybody had at least one shot at him to
doesn't
where he
matter. That's the kind of stuff that gives me chills, man. When I think about all the great players back in the day, the great plays, the Okoye Steve Atwater hit, right? Watching Barry make like Pro Bowl safety, like John Lynch just looks silly,
right? And he runs for 35 yards to lose 3,
right? Like stuff like that, and even today's game, like watching people like Larry Fitzgerald just dominate a game. That's why I watch the game.
Well,
it's clearly not because of the Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles certainly aren't getting it done for us. So but you look at Larry Fitzgerald when last year when he caught that long and then caught the touchdown pass right it was like the little shovel pass. It's like here's a guy who's 34. Everybody's talking about the old man Larry Fitzgerald. Still. I mean, I don't know why 34 is old for a receiver.
It's not. He is 33.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. He's 30.
He's got years left.
I know. He was born on August 31st, 1983. He's 33 years old.
Jeez, I was 20 when Larry Fitzgerald was born.
Yeah.
Good God.
It's ridiculous.
I am old, man.
But watching all that stuff is really what Bo Jackson back in the day. Oh,
yeah.
Just look, any of that stuff. And dude, it happens every week.
Dude, I remember 1983 when that quarterback draft came. Just sitting there. You didn't watch the draft back then. It was like,
Marino,
Elway, Todd Blackledge, Tony Eason.
I don't know those two people.
Jim Kelly,
I remember him.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great quarterback draft.
It was. Yeah.
And, it was like people were like, oh, Marino got picked, by the Steelers.
No.
Actually, he wanted to get picked by the Steelers, but he obviously didn't.
He got
picked by the Dolphins.
And the whole Elway fiasco.
Right, he got picked by the Colts, but didn't want to play for the Colts, got traded. I don't know, he was going to play for the Yankees, and was like, I want to play baseball. I'm going to play in Baltimore. Baltimore sucks. So then he got traded to
Denver.
Mm-hmm. And the guy, Ernie Accorsi, was the general manager of the Colts, and he was drafting the best player. And the owner of the Colts, Irsay, traded him to Denver without telling his GM.
That's crazy, Joe.
That's bad business is what that is.
If it hadn't happened, we wouldn't have a Hall of Famer, though. And all those memories, man.
The same thing happened with Eli.
Yeah, well, that was a little bit different.
It was almost exactly the same.
Except, like, everybody knew because it was on live TV.
Well, yeah, I mean, you live in the information age.
Right, but it wasn't like a you know.
And
like
the
a
trade
background
happened
deal.
within a couple minutes. You know?
Right. And by the way, I don't know that they won.
Who?
The Giants.
Dude's got 2 rings, dude. I think Eli's okay.
You don't think Phillip Rivers could have won those rings?
I don't know, maybe.
I think Rivers is a better quarterback. But yeah, Eli's got the rings. But if you ask me, like, who's the better quarterback, I would say Phillip Rivers. I'm not hating on Eli when saying that. I just would say, numbers-wise, I would say it's Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers is a bad mofo.
He is. He's a great quarterback.
Sorry we didn't get to questions tonight, but Lyle's going to be back tomorrow.
Tomorrow/Friday.
Yeah, Friday. It's going to be Friday. So get your questions in via email, via Twitter, on our website at fantasyfootballguys.com in the forum there.
Lyle.
Hashtag Ask Lyle.
A couple people use it.
Do they?
Yeah.
All right. We're out, bitches. Enjoy your night, and we'll be back Saturday, both of us, Saturday morning for the call-in show. That number is 650-733-8334. Be there or be square.
Come on. Really?
Really?
That's it. I'm out.
All right, bye.
Love you, minute.
I was hoping we could avoid that.
Nope. You kill it.